You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hella Well with Danielle podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Washington, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today I wanted to have a little bit of a heart-to-heart with you in the sense that things are changing. I have been on this journey for a while. This brand started, the podcast started, I want to say like a little bit right after COVID, I think 2020 of COVID, if I'm right. And it started because I saw a need. I saw a need where my sisters were struggling. Like before, I used to do retreats. And when I saw the pandemic occurred and people weren't able to go on these trips, I'm like, just because they weren't able to go on trips, they didn't mean the need wasn't still there. And that's how Hella Well was birthed. And I knew the feeling I wanted people to have. I've always wanted to have this feeling of freedom, but I didn't know how to express that. And so I've been here trying to figure it out, and I finally feel like I got it. I finally feel like I know what it is that I'm doing. I know what it is that I want you to experience, and it's time for me to share that. So that's what today's episode is about. It's about me sharing my journey with you, where I am and where I'd like to see us go. So before we get started, what I always love to do is I love for us to take a moment just to put our hands on our heart, close our eyes, just connect with our breath. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. Feeling your heartbeat underneath your hands. Just slowing the body down, taking a moment to pause. Feeling your feet rooted on the ground. And take one last deep inhale. And exhale out of your mouth. And at your own pace, slowly open your eyes. Reconnect back to the space. I'm a strong believer in my personal mantra is like Most Def's song, Umi says, and he says, I just want my people to be free, to be free, to be free. And that's what I desire, but I didn't really know how I wanted that. And then I started thinking about it. And I was talking to a mentor who I was telling about my frustrations about, I know what I want people to feel. I know what I kind of want to do. I have all these different skill sets. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I am a guided meditation teacher. I am a Reiki master. I do retreats. I am in the process of becoming a yoga therapist. I know about TCM and Ayurveda and acupressure points and all these different things, yogic astrology, using Vedic astrology to help you get to a point where you can work through some natal chart things or things that go on in your life. So I have all these different things that are within me on top of being an intuitive, but I never knew how to put it all together. So he interviewed me. And he let me talk about all my desires for my own life, all my desires for you. And it was so interesting. In less than an hour, he was able to tell me, look, you're a well-being guide whose mission is to help women find freedom when life feels impossible. My mission is to help women find freedom when life feels impossible. I don't know about you, but I have experienced life feeling impossible. It's not a fun feeling. Like I used to always wonder why my aunt would always talk about how, or my mom would say, you're getting on my last nerve, like that wave. Don't press that last nerve. And as I got older and I got more responsibilities, I took on more roles and I felt that I had to be everything to everyone else. I understood what it meant to feel like that last nerve is going to just snap at any moment. Like I have so much on my plate that life felt impossible. It felt overwhelming. I felt constantly drained, no matter how hard I was trying. And I was doing things. I was taking care of myself. I was adding in self-care aspects. I was taking a bath. I was taking trips. I was buying myself things, but I was like, this ain't hitting right. I was taking life coaching sessions and I'm like, okay, this works a little bit, but it's still not exactly what it is that I need, or I don't have time for these things. That was a huge thing. Like I would notice like people are like, oh, if you just do this 12-step program, you're going to be able to be living the life you desire. I'm like, well, I don't have time. I don't have time to do all this stuff. And I recognize that time is a big issue for all of us. And so I was like, okay, how can I put together all that it is that I do with all that it is that I desire in a way that isn't going to take a lot of time, and it really helps people who are busy women be able to find that freedom and that relaxation when life feels impossible. So that's what I decided to do. Took time away from everyone, been in my little cave, which is this house right here. If you're watching this video or if you're just listening to me, I'm in my apartment and I live here. Not that I don't live here, but I live here. Like I just wasn't going out. Like I could have gone out with people, I could have hung out with friends outside of taking care of my parents. I was here really going in mentally and figuring out what helped me. And what I realized helped me was creating my own version of my own gumbo. I'm a I'm a black girl and I love me some gumbo. My parents are from the South. My parents make, I think, one of the best gumbos ever. But I've had other gumbos where people put in chicken. I'm like, why would you put chicken in some gumbo? I was like, no, I wouldn't do that. But I like seafood in my gumbo. I also like some pork in my gumbo. And so when I think of gumbo, I think it's personalized to so many people. I think people like to have their certain ingredients. And I think the same thing goes for our well-being. I think we each need to put a little bit of this ingredient in, a little bit of that ingredient in, a little bit of this, and then put it all together to get our perfect gumbo. I don't believe in a one size fits all wellness well-being plan. I don't think it works. What works for me, the exact thing that works for me in this current time in my life, it's not going to be what works for you. What works for me right now isn't the same thing that worked for me 5 years ago or a year ago. It may not be the same thing that works for me next month. So we're always evolving this. But if you don't have a good kitchen cabinet full of ingredients and tools to help you with your well-being that works with your day-to-day life that can kind of fit in, you're going to keep on this wheel of just feeling like you're going, waiting for the carousel to stop. And you're like, I just need a pause button. I just need a pause button. And I've been there. I have craved the pause button. I have dreamt about someone coming up. I mean, if we can come up with all these other apps, why can't someone come up with a button that just pauses the noise, that pauses the responsibilities, pauses the roles that we play, pauses the additional weight and to-do list that comes, like, just feels like heavy weight on our shoulders. I just, I desire the pause button. So, as best as I could, I'm not that smart yet to create a pause button. But what I've done is created three different pillars that I feel like kind of will help us get to that freedom that we are all desiring, that feeling of relaxation, that feeling of being able to reconnect with ourselves and just breathe. So, what are the pillars? Told you about the core mission, which is to help women find freedom when life feels impossible. The first pillar that I want to talk about is for caregivers. And when I say caregivers, being a caregiver isn't just being a mom or being a wife or being someone who takes care of their parents. A lot of us caregiving, we don't even realize it. When you're that emotional friend who's always there when something goes wrong or if someone needs to, a shoulder to cry on, advice, or they need someone to help move or whatever, if you're always that person who's always there, that's caregiving. We don't always realize the emotional toll that it takes to be that nurturing person, to be that emotional rock for so many people. But yet, here we are, being that emotional rock and not recognizing that sometimes we're giving beyond our capacity, and it can make you feel resentful. It can make you feel guilty for wanting to take time for yourself because I'm like, I have all these things on my plate. I have all these people who are depending on me. I want to take care of myself. I know self-care is important, but I don't have time. Like, what would that say if I took time for me and I didn't give that time to other people? And it's so easy to get caught up in losing yourself and this being who you are. This is being how you get your value, how you get your validation, and how you see yourself. I can't be anything but this caregiver because this is who people see me as. I know I've gotten lost in this. I don't have biological children, but I have my nieces and nephews that I feel like have been like my children. And I feel like when one of them calls, I'm like, I have to be there. No matter if I'm tired, no matter if I have a migraine, like I have to be there. Because what does that say? Am I a bad aunt if I'm not there for them? Same thing with my parents. My parents are elderly, they're in their 80s, and I moved to be closer to them so I could be here for them. It's one of those things I struggle with. I struggle with it in the sense that I feel like society's like, you have to be there for your parents. And it's taken me a long time to get past the need of feeling like I have to be there for my parents versus I want to be there for them. But even with me wanting to be there for them, it still comes with its own toll. It comes with its own financial strain, feeling a lack of support, feeling exhausted, feeling like, when do I have time for me? And that's one of the pillars I really wanted to focus in on. I wanted to give a space and create a community and give advice and give tools to help you as a caregiver navigating caregiving without losing yourself. Because I think it's so important for us not to lose ourselves, which also goes into my next pillar, which is living beyond the roles and responsibilities. It's easy to get caught up in the roles. It's easy to identify yourself as whatever you are. I am a mother. I am a daughter. I am a caregiver. I am an employee. I am a community leader. I am all whatever you are. Add the whatever is after I am. If you were to do just a test, and I'm curious, I invite you to try this. Write a list down and come just to one number at 1 to 20, write I am, and then come up with 20 things that you are. And I bet it won't be hard for you to come up with 20 roles that you play. But that's just think is if you think about it, you can probably come up with 20 roles. That means you're splitting your life, your energy into 20 different segments, which is exhausting. It is time for us to learn how to connect back to ourselves. It's easy to get caught up in these roles, and you're like, you wake up and you're like, well, whose life is this? Is this, it feels okay, life is fine, but is fine good enough? Is fine where you want to be for the rest of your life? Is fine your legacy? Or do you want and desire more in life? If you do, I want to help you find ways to live beyond the roles and responsibilities. I want us to be able to take off the mask, take off the roles and responsibilities and the capes, and be able to reconnect with who we are and what we desire. Taking those moments of pause to be able to reconnect with yourself. Which leads me to my third pillar, which is this all sounds great and all, but if you don't have time, how are you going to do this? I feel like so many people are feeling overwhelmed, feeling exhausted, feeling stressed out, feeling anxious, waking up morning like, oh my God, okay, what do I have to do? I want to take care of myself, but my to-do list is so long, I don't have time. I'm a strong believer in simplifying wellness. I don't feel wellness has to be a 16-hour session. I don't feel like you have to go to the gym for 3 hours. I don't feel like you have to do a yoga class for 2 hours. It may feel great to do one. I'm not saying not to do that. But what I'm saying is there's still creative ways to get this wellness in. There's creative ways to add breath work to to help you, or movements to help you release anger, to let go of being a people pleaser, to get that mental clarity in such quick, efficient ways. And so I'm all about simplifying wellness in a way that it's easier for you as busy women to take care of you in the midst of everything else that you do. So that's what I'm about. If this sounds of something of interest to you, I want to invite you to join me on the journey. You can meet me in the streets in Instagram, here on YouTube, on the podcast, wherever I am. And let's go into this together. For me, it all comes down to I want you to feel free. I want you to feel relaxed. I have been where you are. I am where you are right now. And I like to think of myself as like the Harriet Tubman of wellness. I'm just maybe one or two steps ahead of you. And I'm lending you a hand to say, hey, here's a flashlight. This might help you on your path. I'm not a guru. I'm not, trying to say I'm an influencer. My way is the right way. I'm here to help you see what's already within you. I'm here to help you be the best that you can be, because I desire for everyone to feel free, whatever that means to you, free from whatever feels impossible right now. As a special gift, I wanted to give you a 5-minute mental mind reset. It's a meditation that I created, which is literally only 5 minutes, because sometimes you don't have more than 5 minutes. And this is just a way when life feels overwhelming, you feel exhausted. It's a 5-minute kind of mental reset. And yeah, for me, you're worthy of the pause. You're worthy of living beyond the roles and responsibilities. You're worthy of not losing yourself. And you're worthy of feeling free and relaxed. I just need you to know that. I'll see you next week. Ciao. Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.